If you would like to complete your high school year with distinctions, this is the video for you. In this video, I'll be detailing how I managed to get 7 distinctions in my grade 12 year, and most importantly, how you can too, because it's definitely possible. So stick around. And welcome to I Know You Know, your one-stop knowledge-sharing platform for all things careers, life after high school, as well as opportunities that are available to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you've heard already by the title, this video will be discussing all things distinctions in high school. And the reason this video is important for this channel is that, as you know, I Know You Know is a career guidance platform. And our purpose is to ensure that we walk you through every step of your career picking journey in order to ensure that it is successful and that you end up picking a career that is fulfilling for you. A very important part of picking a career is to excel in whichever level you are, because that helps to set you up for the next step. So whether you're in high school, regardless of which grade you're in, or you're working already, or you're in university or college, or you're training somewhere at a training center, it is important to excel. And that is because excelling in this phase of life will set you up for the future, even if you don't end up in the same career that you are currently studying for, or you don't end up in the same field at all. But the marks that you do get in whatever phase you're in will definitely set you up for success in the future. However, this video will definitely be focused more on getting distinctions specifically in Matric. So if this video is relevant for you, please do stick around. Now, I matriculated in 2015. That was my Matric year. So the end of 2015 was when I finished my high school level. And for me, it was very, very important that I do excel in grade 12. And I'm going to now touch on my why, which I think for any goal that you want to set is always important to have. It is very important to have your why and to know why you want something. You don't just start aiming for something without necessarily a purpose behind it, because the purpose will definitely help drive you during the journey. And for me, the purpose of wanting to get very good marks in grade 12 was to set myself up. So I already knew that there is no way my family is going to afford for me to go and study further, and I knew I wanted to study further. But thankfully, I also knew that there are opportunities out there, such as bursaries, scholarships, different fellowships, where you can actually get funding for your higher education studies. And so for me, the main reason why I pushed and really worked hard, especially in my grade 12 year, was to ensure that I do get funding so that I can achieve my dreams and pursue the career that I do want to pursue. Now, with that why in mind, how did I then manage to get 7 distinctions? Now, I'll obviously go in depth with some of the things that I'm going to talk about now, but I just wanted to just do a little bit of a background to say, how did I get my marks? First and foremost, in figuring out how I got 7 distinctions. So the first thing I did was to set goals and then create a plan. It is very important to know what are you working towards, what are your target grades or marks for each subject, and what are you aiming for. And then also then setting a plan that will enable you to get there. And what does the plan look like? This looks like a study schedule where you set aside time in order to prioritize the different subjects. And remember, in grade 12, you most probably already have some sort of extra class. I know at school we had extra classes where we actually stayed after school and worked, I think, 2 more hours, and each day we did a different subject. So you most probably already have something like that going on. If you don't, you probably should set one up with your friends. But in addition to that, what you can do is then set aside a study schedule time where maybe a day you target a subject. So over and above the homework that you might have, you can maybe set aside 30 minutes to an hour just to revise on some of the work that you need to go through. And with the study plan, which you can, by the way, do nowadays, we have all sorts of devices and all sorts of apps on our devices. You can actually use like a Google Calendar in order to put and plan what it is that you want to study. I used the good old pen and paper, and I had a timetable that I set for myself in order to go over certain subjects every single day definitely help you have a structure and for you to know. I'm one of those people that once I know there's a plan in place, I kind of become more relieved or more settled, as opposed to thinking of, okay, this is what I need to achieve, but I don't really have a plan. That keeps me on my toes and it makes me so anxious and so worried about what if I don't achieve what I need. But once I put together a foolproof plan where I'm like, okay, I know if I go through this subject so many times, I definitely will do well in it. So it definitely helps to plan how you're going to achieve your goals. The second thing is that I definitely did was to master the curriculum and identify key areas that I want to prioritize. Especially in Matric, guys, there are so many resources for us to use in order to get good marks. The first and probably most common are past papers. Every subject in grade 12 has past papers that are available online. And what past papers allow you to do is that you can download the past papers and actually go through them as if you're in the exam already. So that's what I did. I downloaded the past papers and then I answered them as if I was already in the exam. After doing that for a couple of past papers, and then when you're done going through it, you actually mark it. And you are honest, guys, don't just make it correct when you can hear it's not exactly what they're looking for. Luckily, they do have memos as well for the past papers that are online. So as you are marking, you can actually be comparing with the memo. And once you're done marking, you're not done. You have to go over them and see what are your gaps. Oftentimes you'll find that the topics that you struggle with, you'll actually keep getting them wrong. And that shows that there's a fundamental piece that is missing, or there's a gap that you have in that content piece. And then you go over that word over and over again. And if you still can't get it, ask someone, ask your teacher to explain. You can even take a past paper and say, hey, this is how I answered this. How would you advise me to, what do you think is my gap? I don't think a teacher that you approach and say, this is the work I've done, please assist me in actually getting this right, would push back or wouldn't assist you. They actually would assist you because they can see you're already putting in the work and you really are trying to get high marks. And I think in grade 12 especially, the abundance of resources really makes it very accessible for everyone to be able to do this. If you don't know or don't have past papers, ask your teacher. Teachers are connected with other teachers, and even if maybe in your particular school, if there's maybe you don't have access to the internet through your school or a local library or whatever the case may be, you can always go to your teacher and say, hey, I'm looking for these past papers. Sometimes you can actually get them on your phone and go through them digitally even on the phone, because what's important is for you to just get a glimpse of what it is that they ask. And this also helps for you to know what areas to focus on in the curriculum. There's no need to go over something that you already know and you conceptually understand over and over again. What you can then do is then just revise and brush up on those, but then really focus on the ones that you are still struggling with. So that is the second tip, guys. Master the curriculum, know what they want to ask, and know that information that they're going to ask. Because once you have a couple of papers from a couple of years ago for each subject, you'll absolutely know exactly what to expect in your final exam. The third tip that I did was to put myself out there. Now, putting yourself out there looks different in different contexts and for different people. But one thing that I definitely did in grade 12 is I joined a study group. I got a tutor, and that really helped me to really close the gap that I had for physics. So I was already getting decent marks in grade 12. In physics in grade 11 and grade 10. But I felt like for my target goal, remember number one, when you actually set up the goals, I saw that in grade 10 and in grade 11, I wasn't really getting the marks that I aimed to get in my final year, especially because I was intending to pursue a science-based degree, which is chemical engineering, and it was important for me to get really good marks for me to be able to be accepted in the institutions that I wanted, and also to get funded, obviously. So in setting out my goals, I saw that I actually do have a gap in physical science that I probably need help closing. So what I did in my matric year is I got a tutor. Shout out to my mom for sponsoring that. If you can afford it, please guys get a tutor. It doesn't have to be for the whole year. It can be for specific areas, and it can also be for specific subjects as well. Like for me, I just did it for physical science. I didn't do it for all my subjects because there was a specific gap that I knew that this is like a key way that I can actually close this gap. So I got a tutor. Another thing you can do is to join study groups. I know in grade 12, I went to the library a lot, especially because in grade 12, since we had extra classes in school or whatever, I stopped using the normal transport thingy that I was using to commute from school to home after school. So I used it in the morning only. So in the afternoons, I used to get on a taxi and go to the library, study, and then go home afterwards. So that also helped, and that was another form of putting myself out there, where I went to an environment that is not my home, not my school, but an environment that allowed me to focus and really zone in and study. And I know some people don't really study well in public areas such as libraries, so you need to figure out what works for yourself. But whatever you do, put yourself out there, get a tutor or have a study group or join the library or go to your local library and really study. Number 4, and this probably should have been number 1, is practice. I will not lie to you and tell you that there's a shortcut of getting distinctions without hard work. There really isn't. You do need to put in the hours, you do need to put in the work. And it helps that when you do put in the work, it is structured as mentioned in the above or the previous points. So make sure that you practice, you put in the work, but that the work that you put in is meaningful, meaning there's a plan that you're following, and you're also taking note of what it is that you know, what it is that you don't know. Because it doesn't help that you're practicing and you can see that you're getting things wrong, but you're not asking for help to close those gaps. The main point of practicing is to identify where your gaps are so that you can be able to close them before your final exam. It doesn't help you put in this hard work, but you're actually not doing it in a strategic way. So please be strategic about how you work hard. Because I know some people will be like, I read or I go through my work every day and I've been putting in work, but I'm not seeing the results. The question is, how are you putting in the work? Are you putting in the work as part of a plan? Do you have a plan in place? Do you have a study plan in place? Do you have a list of gaps that you've identified from each session when you go through the work? Are you just reading your work like it's a text, like a novel? Because honestly that won't help much if you don't put into practice what you're studying. It does help to study because yes, it does help for you to grasp the concept, but I would say that it's actually more beneficial for you to practice. If it's math, actually do the solve the mathematical problems. If it's sciences, answer the questions. So if you're going through, vertical projectile motion, go through the chapter of vertical projectile motion quickly. You've already gone over it in school in terms of it being taught. But what you want to now do in your own personal time is to actually practice. Answer the questions in that topic. Answer them repeatedly. Questions from your textbooks, from study guides, from past papers. Go through them, mark yourself, see what you still are getting wrong, and then go back to your textbook and read up on the things that you're getting wrong. I hope this helps. It's not just about sitting down and going over the work. It's about being intentional about it and really, by the time you stand up, making sure that I either now know this that I didn't know, or I've identified a gap. I know that this is the area I'm struggling with, or this is the question I struggle with. Like when they say, if you throw the ball up in the air, at which point will it reach a speed of 0? Like, if you know you keep getting the question wrong, guys, go over the textbook, but if that fails, you can always go and ask a teacher and say, I really don't understand how to approach this question. And I promise you guys, you will be successful. You will be able to improve your marks, and you actually will, it's not far-fetched, guys. Getting good marks is not an impossible task or a task that is set for a specific few people. I always say that I believe everyone can learn everything or anything that they want. The only thing that you need to be willing to do is to put in the work and the time that is to grasp the concept. It might take me 1 minute to understand the concept, it might take me 2 minutes to understand the concept, and it might take someone else 10 minutes. If we all give ourselves the necessary time that we each need as individuals, we will all ultimately understand the concept and we'll get good marks. It won't take the same amount of work for everyone or the same amount of time for everybody, but if you make sure that you are locked in on what works for you and you are focused on identifying for yourself what it is that you still don't know, what it is that you still don't understand, there's no way you walk into that paper still not understanding things, because you actually would have gone through this journey with a focused mind and a strategic plan. Last but not least, take care of your mental health. Grade 12 can be an especially stressful year because we all know that there's pressure from home, there's pressure from school, because schools also want to do good. They want their people to pass, they want their learners to get good marks and so on. So there's pressure from school as well. There's probably pressure from your personal life, like your future. Some people at this point of being in Matric might not know what career they want to pursue. And by the way, if that's you, just check out other resources on I Know You Know, so that you can make sure that this is not a problem or a worry for you. And in terms of actually zoning in and focusing, you can actually remove this as one of the problems that you might have. So some of you might be worried about your future. Like, there's a lot of pressures that happen and exist in your final year of school, and you might also be hard on yourself in terms of not getting the marks that you want and being stressed about what your future looks like and so forth. And so it is very, very important that you take care of your mental health. Make sure that you take some time to yourself. I don't know, take a walk, exercise, whatever exercise you like. Some people like to play football, some people play other sports. Play your sport, set aside time to do that. Yes, you must prioritize your school, but you also do need to take a break sometimes. What's important is that remember that plan we spoke of in the first point? Also lock in resting time in that study schedule. It doesn't help that all you ever do is study and that you don't rest, or that you don't rest your mind, or that you don't, rejuvenate your mind and find things that are fulfilling to you and exciting for you throughout the whole year. You definitely need to make sure that you find those things and you use them to be able to revitalize your mind and so forth. Eating healthy is also very, very good for your brain as well. Make sure that you are eating healthy foods, especially around exam time, especially around time where you really need your brain to show up for you. You also need to show up for your brain in terms of how you nourish it. And so make sure that you take care of your mental health, take care of your body. You make sure that you are not a machine. You're not just a distinction producing machine, guys. No. You actually need to make sure you take care of your well-being while you're in the process of getting and gunning for the marks that you do want. In terms of my final thoughts, anyone can get good marks. You just need to figure out what works for you and get help where you need to get help. It is definitely possible for you, and it really is something to aim for, getting good marks. Make sure that you know your why you want to get good marks, but also that you have a plan in place. And I think this video has helped with the how part. And then last but not least, getting good marks can really, really change your future. What it did for me and what getting good marks meant for me was that someone funded my studies when I finished school, and it was a bursary that also had a work back obligation. So it means when I finished my varsity studies, I also had a job lined up for me, a good job lined up for me. So really, it can seem small when you're in grade 12 to just get good marks, but it's really not small. It can be something that really, really opens doors for you and ensures that you have a brighter future than what you would have gotten if you didn't get good marks. I hope this video was helpful for you, and most importantly, I hope it helped to show you that it is possible. Like, the steps I'm talking about are steps that are accessible to everyone. It's not a select few people that can do these things and have access to the things that I spoke of. It's definitely something that you can do. It's something that the next person can do. And I promise you, if you do these things, you'll get marks that you can be proud of. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please tune in the next video. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you in the next one. Bye.